Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin and Brett Stats Norsworthy.
Welcome in on this Thursday where Laura is going to be coming up through, I got a feeling, Arkansas, a little bit of Mississippi maybe, and we should get some high winds as part of that a little bit later in the evening. Hopefully it is going to sort of go to the west of us and up north and then go east, and we may not get nearly as bad of the brunt of the terrible weather as some places certainly have. Nice to have you with us again. Brett Norsworthy off until next Monday, enjoying a couple of weeks vacation. Drew Barrett filling in. Carl Morris is our engineer, and this is a Thursday where the NBA players decided, not all teams, but the NBA players as a whole decided we will play games. They'll have a meeting tonight with the owners, including Michael Jordan, who's sort of become the liaison between the players and the owners. He is, by the way, he's the only majority black owner in the NBA. And I was trying really hard to think. He may be, at least in America, the only majority black owner of any sports franchise. I can't think of any Major League Baseball team that would be
I can't think of one
majority
off the top of my
owned, or NFL team for that matter. So Michael, obviously a billionaire, I think he's worth $2 billion, is an instrumental figure in so many different ways on the American sports scene. And in this particular case, he is sort of a peacemaker. And his advice after talking with Kyrie Irving, who, of course, is the Players Association president.
Chris Paul.
I meant Chris Paul. His advice to the other owners was, let's just listen for a while and see what happens. It's pretty clear that the Lakers and the Clippers were sort of on the side of, you know what, we're done with this. The other players were not, and I'm sure it'll get totally decided upon after tonight's meeting. All the players apparently in the bubble will be on with the Zoom meeting with the owners, including Michael Jordan, and we'll see where it goes from here. I really think there are a lot of different factors going into this. And the more I think about it, we saw that emotional speech by Doc Rivers, and we've mentioned that several times in discussing what broke really on the air with us yesterday. Right about this time, the story was coming out about the boycott. It also came right after Paul George had discussed his strain, his depression that he had while in the bubble. I think we are seeing that this bubble, although it did provide the income for these players, they could get the television money. They were not going to really be penalized by not getting the 40% income stream that you would get from the fans who buy tickets and pay for parking and food and all the rest that goes into that total revenue stream. But they wanted to get their money, and no one can blame them for that. And that was part of the reason why they wanted to play. And this was the only way you could accommodate being able to play. But I think in this mix, not just with the Jacob Blake social issues here that are front and center for America to see and the main focal point of this boycott, I think there is wear and tear and mental strain on a lot of these players that this was not taken into account when it first began, that they have been in the bubble too long. And I think Paul George is the perfect example of that. And I can understand why, on top of the social issues and wanting to put that front and center, there's an underlying thing here that is, we need a break. We are tired of being in this isolation with just basketball to play, being in the same hotel, not seeing families, not being able to leave. This stuff has gotten to us.
Yeah, I think it definitely is a factor, and I mean it's a trying time for everyone. I mean mentally, it's been draining on me personally, just trying to figure out what to say, how to say it, when to listen, when to speak. And I'm not even in isolation. I'm able to go home and live my normal life like I would any other day during this global pandemic. But I think that it might have a factor, I guess, with the ultimate emotion of it. You know, you might react emotionally a little bit faster than you normally would. But when you see that video, it's very emotional. It's horrifying. It's sickening. It's one of the saddest things I've ever witnessed in my life. And I don't know where the NBA and the Players Association want to go with this. I don't know 100% what they want to really get out of it, but I do know that they have succeeded in the fact of starting a dialogue. They have started the dialogue. They have brought attention to this. They have decided that playing basketball yesterday would have been a distraction from what's going on in our communities across this country, especially when facing police brutality. So they have accomplished something. It's just to try to figure out what is the next step. Is the next step different protestal movements while still playing basketball in Orlando? Is it cutting out the season like the Lakers and the Clippers originally voted to do yesterday? And I think that speaks a lot to how much this movement and how much this protest and everything going on really means to these players. If two of your best teams in your league vote to end the season, two teams who are probably the two out of the three favorites to win the NBA Finals down in Orlando, I think that speaks a lot, and it sends a message of how important this is to them, and it should be to the rest of the country.
They have not articulated yet, and I'll be interested in seeing what exactly they expect to get out of this. I know that the Bucks have sent the letter to the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin expecting something to be done to the police officer or officers that were involved in the shooting of Blake Jacob. But where do you go from here? What exactly do you want to see? The meeting tonight with the owners, what do they want from the owners? I'm not sure. Is there?
I'm not sure either.
The owners are not the ones responsible for this predicament. So that will be interesting to see what comes out of that meeting tonight. In the meantime, I mentioned Laura, the hurricane, which was the third largest hurricane to hit land in the last, I think it was 60, 70 years. And because of the expected weather tomorrow night, as an offshoot from all of this, high school football games have been moved up, including the game with Briarcrest. So is ECS. They're playing at Arlington tonight.
They're going to play?
That game has been moved up. So I did a little digging. And the way that I see this, Briarcrest was told by the health department, despite the fact that their team played against Collierville, and two of the athletes on the football team at Collierville had COVID. Mm-hmm. Only one of those athletes, though, played in the game.
He's still playing and touched other people.
One guy in the game. And so I initially heard and read, actually, in the Daily Memphian that the health department had told Collierville High School they have to quarantine him. They stop the next two games. And they have to quarantine the other athlete, too. But that they were not...
Probably need to quarantine the rest of the people on the team until they get results back.
They didn't have to let Briarcrest know, and they didn't have to do any contact tracing. And I couldn't understand why that was.
That makes absolutely zero sense.
And then I found, because the athlete in question did not show symptoms until Monday, and the game was Friday, there is a 48-hour passage between symptoms and non-symptoms, and for that reason, they were clear to play. So Briarcrest is going to play a football game tonight, one day after finding out without tests or contact tracing or anything else. And they've been cleared to do this by a health department that I think up to now has been really, really careful. When you're talking about everybody else has 6 feet spacing outside and Memphis's football team has to abide by a 12-foot space social distance when you get to the Liberty Bowl on Saturday or a week from Saturday, we know this is a cautious, conservative health department. They're the ones that have cleared it. Now, I'm not sure that if I were the high school football team that is about to play Briarcrest, that I would want my kids to play against Briarcrest.
I certainly don't think I would.
I want to know if you had a child at 67129 on the First Bank text line, would you want your kid to play against Briarcrest tonight, knowing what you know? Because I find that incredibly intriguing.
I do too, and I'm just flat out confused because I don't know when this 48-hour thing apparently started. I thought that there was a whole 10 to 14-day incubation period that you could be carrying the virus and spreading the virus without showing symptoms or having it, and even some asymptomatic people can still spread the virus. So if that's what we've been told since all this started in March, now when high school football starts and there's an outbreak, there's not an outbreak, but a few cases on a team, that it's only 48 hours now? Like, that just, it makes absolutely zero sense. And I certainly, obviously I don't have kids, but I feel like if I did and I looked at this in a responsible light,
56 WH.
in a responsible light, that I would at least want to make sure that every person on my kid's team was tested and go from there. If my kid was negative and there were a few kids that were positive, we quarantine those kids. We can maybe figure out a way to play on, but with only 1 day's notice before a game that has to get moved up due to weather from the Hurricane Laura, I don't know if I'd feel very comfortable about it. I mean, that kid's coming home with me. He's gonna be living in my house. I'm gonna have to go to work on Friday.
I would think seriously.
I know surprised. a lot of companies have made people legally sign paperwork that if they don't divulge the information that they have come in contact with somebody who has shown symptoms or has a positive test or could possibly have positive test, if you don't tell that company that information and there happens to be an outbreak at your company, then you can be fired and sued. So how comfortable would you feel?
My thing is that here's my surprise. I am amazed that Briarcrest did not say, you know what, we just found out about this. We're going to play Friday. Oh, wait, now we got to move to Thursday. Why don't we wait and play this later in the year? This is a game we should not play until we at least see if anybody has symptoms. Now, the CDC just changed their guidelines. I have no idea why they did this, but now they're saying if you don't show symptoms, don't get tested. Now, I have no idea why they're doing this.
Whatever happened to asymptomatic people?
Dr. Fauci said he was when they decided to do this, he was on some sort of table getting worked on himself. So I have no idea because it discounts everything they've said about asymptomatic players. But I would think it's a 3 to 5 day window before you show symptoms, and that's where I guess the 48-hour rule thing comes in. In my mind, if I were Briarcrest, I would have delayed this game until at least 3 to 5 days, so I would see if anybody got symptoms if I couldn't afford the test. I think Briarcrest, being the private school that it is with the budget that it has, could have found a way to test the 50, 60, 70 guys they got on that football team. And it is, in my sense, a risky move for that other school to even play them.
Yeah, I think it is risky, but that's the most confusing thing about all of this with the global pandemic, that things change. So now, apparently, according to the CDC, back in early July, when I came in contact with somebody in my friend group who contracted COVID-19, I never showed symptoms. So you're telling me I missed 2 days of work and quarantined myself for 5 days until I got my results for absolutely nothing.
Well, I did the
So
same
I basically
thing.
wait.
When my youngest son got a very mild case of COVID, thank God, I stayed home to do the show, got tested, and when I was positive, I felt good enough to come here because I didn't want to put anybody into any kind of bad position. So I am really a bit surprised that this is the way it worked out. Briarcrest is playing at Houston. If I were a parent of a Houston high school football player, I'd be going, wait a second. Are you sure? This is tonight at 7 o'clock.
Are you sure it's safe?
Are you sure we should be playing because that team played against a team that had one kid who played, another on the sideline that had COVID. And they haven't been tested.
Exactly.
So we don't know.
And we don't know how many people that one player could have infected. Just because there's only 2 people on the Carville high school team that got it doesn't mean that one player could not have affected 5, 6, or 7 different players on Briarcrest. I mean, just because you're in contact with somebody doesn't guarantee that you're going to get it, but it also doesn't say that you're not going to get it, and it can spread out from just one central source. So I would be definitely nervous and really putting some hard thought into this if I was a parent.
And we are getting some texts in the First Bank text line at 67129. Majority is yes, we would play. There's a guy here who says my son plays for Houston. I'm good. Another guy says they should just give whoever's playing Briarcrest a W and move on without a game.
I mean, maybe.
Another says I would, and I'm making sure I'm getting guys who aren't repeat numbers here because there are some people that will tell us several times. I would, without a doubt, let my child play. No more concerned about COVID-19 than I am the seasonal flu.
I wouldn't go that far, but
I wouldn't either. But those are some of the takes at the moment. Here's
but to each their own, make their own decision. A
really good way of trying to, I think, share the football game with some people. This is ECS is playing at Arlington tonight. That game's been moved up as well. Mm-hmm. And Braxton Brady, who is their headmaster, also happens to be the team chaplain for the U of M football team. He had this great idea. Since only the players' parents could go to the game that's in Arlington, so they're traveling to Arlington, he wanted a way for his students to be able to go. So they have rented out a Malco theater. There's only, they got social distancing in there, can only be 50% of the theater, and they'll all have to wear masks. But it's about, I think he said about 100 people might be able to get into this theater, but they're going to stream that game so that the students who would normally go to a game are not deprived of the opportunity of playing. So I give ECS a grade A for creativity there to allowing their team, which won a state title last year, their team to be seen by their students who couldn't go to the game, but they can at least be a part of it.
I mean, yeah, it's creative, but, I mean, are we really – if they can't be at the game due to safety reasons and social distancing, is it really smart to jam-pack the 100 people, even 6 feet apart, inside of a theater? That I mean, I get if it's safe, and I guess
this is spacing, masks, and 50% capacity. This is totally safe.
Okay, then I'm for it.
They
are
going
safe.
Exactly by the rules that the Shelby County Health Department has given them.
I'm conflicted with the Shelby County Health Department right now.
Well, the quote from the headmaster is, "We follow rules," and that's what he's doing.
As long as you're following the rules, then plug on. Keep it going.
Not so good for East Carolina today, though. ECU had to postpone their game with Marshall on September the 12th. They still have COVID issues at ECU. This is why Memphis is not making up that game with Purdue. This is why the game on the 21st is going to be an open week, and there's other open weeks. It'll all be about flexibility. I'm about 95% certain that Memphis will play Arkansas State.
I'm up to 91.
Okay.
I was at 90 to start the week.
I'm about 95% there, but I'm not more than 50-50 on whether the season finishes. So we shall certainly see about that. We got a really busy show coming up in just a little bit. Bill Bender from Sporting News. Bill Bender is a college football guy, and I got to ask him about the Big Ten. And there's a new lawsuit today by some of the players.
Oh, I saw it.
And there's also this talk about playing in domes. Bill Bender will be all over that. We go down to Orlando. Keith Smith, who writes NBA basketball for Yahoo. We had Sean Kelly on yesterday in the bubble, and that was pretty interesting. Well, Keith's been there the whole time. We'll get his sense of what he thinks will happen with this meeting tonight. Russell Copeland on the NFL at 4:30. The voice of Arkansas State, Matt Stoltz. He will join us on the Tigers and the Red Wolves a week from Saturday night. He's going to be with us at 5. Baseball with Tim Doolin at 5:30, and then we will end the day with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But right now, it's time for Top and Not.
Top story of the day.
Well, that is the NBA Board of Governors meeting tonight. We already learned today that the NBA players, with a vote, decided they will resume the playoffs, so this is not coming to an end. I think it's just a matter of how long are they going to take off. We know they're not playing tonight. Will they play tomorrow? They could. Will they wait till Saturday? They could. Would they take the whole weekend off to give these guys a little chance to regroup? Because I think there is a mental strain in all of this. We shall see. We'll get a lot more knowledge, I suspect, after the meeting tonight.
Yeah, my top story of the day. It's been a crazy few days that has spread across all of sports, including even the NHL canceling games today. I know that the headlines and conversation for a lot of people might be about the cancellation of games and practices. And biggest question to some may be when these games will resume. But for me, I think the story needs to be about the reason why these games were canceled. It needs to be about why athletes are using their platform to create change in the best way they see fit. If we as a country do not take the necessary steps to create change now, then this will not be the last time we see games canceled.
Not top story of the day.
Those are good numbers, actually, that we are getting now from Shelby County. There were 247 new cases and 3 new deaths. So that's not necessarily great. A little bit up from yesterday, but still the trends are we are on a weekly basis going down and way down. More hospital capacity. Again, that has improved today. 2,000 new tests, not the best, 12.4%. Of positivity, but certainly not some of the numbers we were seeing just a week or two ago. So 26,903 total cases, 370 fatalities. We have seen in the state of Tennessee 147,000. We're at about 1,650 with fatalities. Mississippi, 80,000 cases now, and almost 2,400 have perished. In Arkansas, 58,000 with 732 fatalities. In the United States, 6 million cases now, 184,000 have perished, 3.3 million recoveries. And around the world, 24.4 million, 831,000 deaths, 16.7 million recoveries. And we are seeing another test that has been developed that will be inexpensive, that could be out, I think they're talking about November, where they can have literally millions on hand. So testing will get better and better and
so this
much
will be
more
better than the saliva
affordable.
one, right? Is being reported, I guess?
I think it is a swab in the mouth of some kind. Yeah.
I love when those numbers go down. My not top story of the day, 8 Nebraska football players have filed a lawsuit against the Big Ten seeking to invalidate the league's postponement of the fall football season and to award damages. In the lawsuit, it alleges that the Big Ten is in breach of contract by not following its governing documents under which athletes are third-party benefactors. So I don't think that this is going to go anywhere, but it truly does show how PO'd some of these players, a lot of these players and universities are.
A bunch of this is being based upon the fact they don't believe there was ever a formal vote. So they did not follow their own governance. And that is part of the issue here. The commissioner of the Big Ten said there was a vote. Some of the presidents aren't sure. So,
well, if the presidents aren't sure they voted, then I don't think there was a vote.
I would have to wonder about the truthfulness of the commissioner in this particular case. we shall see how far this proceeds, and we'll find out from Bill Bender his take on all of that. We are officially underway, and we are sitting here in the Family Leisure Studios. I want you to get to Family Leisure this weekend and take advantage of the great end of summer deals like play gyms back in stock with a good price. Patio furniture 20 to 30% off. Pool toys and floats, they're up to 30% off. And if you want to beat the heat, and there's still going to be plenty of heat, you might want to go inside. They got great indoor games. They got ping pong tables. They've got air hockey. They got foosball. They got slate pool tables that are state of the art. And if you're still looking for a swimming pool, you can get a 2021 at 2020 pricing and be first in line for installation next spring. They make it easy. They make your backyard or patio a staycation place if you go to Family Leisure. We are underway, and Bill Bender from the Sporting News is next.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity August sales event. Great offers on all 2020 models and special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus, too. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry, and they are the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Hey folks, it's Dominic Hoon, General Manager here at Sunrise on the Pike. I want to invite you to Sunrise Super Summer Sale going on right now. Deals are so hot, catch them before they're gone. Thinking about a new or used car, truck, and not sure where to go to get the most for your money? Come to Sunrise on the Pike. More than 500 Buicks and GMCs to choose from. The majority price at employee pricing. Bad credit, bankruptcy, slow pay, that is okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing, cars below $10,000. If you got a job, you're approved at Sunrise, the home of the guaranteed credit approval. See us online at sunriseonthepike.com or in person at 1800 Covering Pike.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If ever there was a time for comfort food, this is it. And there's no comfort food like Sunrise on Jefferson. Fresh-made breakfast featuring Sunrise's signature homemade square biscuits or the huge selection of hot, fresh, and fast lunch items are all part of what has always made Sunrise the most comforting of comfort foods in Memphis. Of course, everything that can be done to keep you and the staff safe at Sunrise is a top priority. And you can always order ahead and get delicious Sunrise to go. At a time this confusing, it's good to know there's one thing you can count on: Sunrise.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
And a welcome back in. Nice to have you aboard with us. And so many things going on right now. I must confess we had a little computer issue here, so Carl, you're going to have to let me know if we have Bill Bender. He is there, so let's bring in the man from the Sporting News who talks college football. There is so much to talk with you about. I mean, I know we started this thing last week, and in this last week there's been a million things happening. We got a lawsuit against the Big Ten by some of its players. We got maybe the Big Ten playing in the domes. We got a story about social justice where athletes are boycotting or not practicing. So far, we have not seen that with any of the college football teams of yet. And I'm curious if you've heard anything in that regard today, Bill, or if you think that that will become a platform for some of the college athletes here in the near future.
It might. I mean, you can't dismiss it, but I haven't heard anything to that regard yet. I think, they're in their bubbles, and 76 teams are preparing for a college football FBS season right now, and that time is coming. We've got a FCS game on Saturday. We've got some FBS football next Thursday. I know Memphis is getting ready to go here shortly. It's the time is upon us. So while I haven't, I wouldn't rule it out.
Speaking of the college football game that we have Saturday, tell me everything you know about the Central Arkansas and Austin Peay.
I know that I'll turn it on for a little bit, make sure that it can be done safely. But other than that, not much. I'll be the first to confess. I think it's just going to be a nice test run for all of our eyes that we haven't seen football in so long. See if it can be done safely. I think a lot of people will be watching the COVID protocols on the game and those kind of things, and we'll go from there.
Bill, the Big Ten model, and I know you are in Big Ten country. Do you think there is any credence to this lawsuit? They, I guess, are pretty much claiming there was never an official vote taken, even though the commissioner said there was. What happens with that?
They want answers, and they're entitled to some answers. I mean, whether it's, I don't know what the vote was, or did they have a vote? What went into the thought process and transparency is all they're looking for. I still think, by and large, it's very doubtful that we play any Big Ten football. They're going to have to go back on that decision if they did, and that would mean a lot of people in power would have to admit they're wrong. And, I mean, quite frankly, that would be something that could cost Kevin Warren his job if they go back on that.
But let me ask you this point blank, since you're there. If, and I think it's a big if, but if this works for the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 and the American and the Sun Belt, and I'm Conference USA, if this works and they get through this year and they go to bowl games and they play for a championship and a playoff, isn't the commissioner in trouble?
Yeah, the Big Ten will never live it down. Not in places like Columbus, where they had a de facto national championship contender that the AP put number 2 in their preseason pool. Not in places like Happy Valley, Ann Arbor, Madison, Iowa City, Lincoln, where a lot of the state's economy and those cities' economy is based on college football. The universities' economies are based on college football in a lot of ways. So, they'll never live it down. If the SEC, just think about it, if an SEC and ACC team are playing in a college football playoff semifinal at the Rose Bowl on January 1st, the feelings in Big Ten country, I don't know how you live that down. That's for all of those of us who grew up around Big Ten football, that's kind of the hallowed ground, and it'll hurt a lot.
Do you think they took a vote, like the commissioner is saying? Part of this lawsuit by the Nebraska players is they didn't follow their own governance. They didn't really take a vote. Somebody's not telling the truth here.
We need to find out the truth on that. And I say that both ways. I mean, I guess much, because when we find out what the vote was, the only thing that's going to do is people are going to look at who said no, right? They're not going to say, okay, we got the vote, we're good. No, they're going to hammer the schools that said no. And I think maybe that's part of it. But, the transparency absolutely is deserved. I mean, you want to know answers. You want to know the whys. You want to know why you're not playing when, like I said, the SEC and the ACC, it's almost go time. The SEC's got a little bit longer till September 26th, but those other conferences are getting ready to go.
Going off of that and how much frustration there's been around Big Ten programs with the leadership of the Big Ten, we're constantly talking about the next round of realignment and when is it, how many teams are going to do it. Do you think that there are some Big Ten institutions that next time realignment comes around, they'll be looking for the first door out?
We'll see. I mean, that conference still, from a political standpoint, still revolves a lot around Ohio State, who's been very vocal in wanting to play. Ryan Day mentioned this was a once-in-a-lifetime team he had. Awesome quarterback, awesome corner. You know, Randy Wade, Sean Wade's father, was one of the parents at Big Ten headquarters last week. And but to answer your question, I mean, Nebraska could explore that. Some other schools might explore that. But I would say probably not, just because of the amount of money that comes with being a Big Ten member and having that idea. And whether it's true or not, I mean, this is the perception that a lot of the Big Ten schools are. It's not a perception. They are good schools. And being a part of that conference is very profitable when it's up and running.
Are you certain we will start Saturday? I think we will. I think for that first game, that's about 98% certain. I'm about 95% certain that Memphis will play Arkansas State on September the 5th. How certain are you that we will really begin all this?
Yeah, I think we're going to start. I mean, I guess the big question is, do we finish? And does it become a mess? And who's going to get the I told you so, right? Is it going to be the Big Ten and the MAC and the Mountain West and the Pac-12 that sat it out? Or is it going to be the six conferences and the few independents with them that are going to play? I think that's the biggest question as you move forward. You wonder which schools are going to play, which schools are going to try to get through, and if they can get there start to finish, what a story that would be.
Do you think that if we do go all the way through, do you think we finish with fans? Though, I mean, how many different things could go on even with the limited amount of fans in the stands? Do you think that there's a possibility that we finish the season, but we finish with empty seats?
I wouldn't do fans at all, just for the time being, because I think then you increase the risk. And I say that not because I don't want fans of the pageantry or people to have a chance to watch college football. I'm just saying it because I'm watching MLB and NBA and NHL, and obviously they're not a lot of those teams aren't playing today or yesterday, and that's an entirely different discussion. But in general, that not having fans there seems to have worked a little bit in those bubbles, and I think having 15 to 20,000 people in the same place, you're asking for it in terms of more outbreaks and those kind of things.
How good do you think we're going to navigate the murky waters? NC State, Virginia Tech pushed back 2 weeks. Today, East Carolina postponed their game on September the 12th. They were supposed to play Marshall, and ECU's got a COVID issue. We see, what was the figure today? Over 300 people all told in South Carolina on the campuses.
Yeah, we've had
players.
Just today alone, we had 191 new COVID-19 cases at South Carolina, bringing the total to 380 during the first week of classes.
Well, and most likely they'll have to make the move to virtual classes the way so many
Everybody else
campuses
has.
are already starting to adjust. How well do you think college football will be able to use a football parlance here, audible?
We'll see. I mean, that's decisions for each school, and I still, that's that catch-22, that kind of another murky debate, to use your phrase, in terms of the word murky, because it's what it is it safer to have the athletes on there without the student? I think it is. Less risk, less people. Is it right to have the student athletes on there without the students? That's a tough question to answer, because the students could argue, why can't we get the special treatment to get major in, pick your major? You know what I'm saying? So I think these are things that the universities face. We do know that, money's a big part of it, but I typically trust what Saban says in terms of, they want to play for the student athletes and the development and to do his job. And I think no voice carries more in the sport than Nick's. And I believe him there. And I think he's a guy that probably should talk more as we go through this thing, because we do listen to guys like him.
I was along the philosophical stance, like you, that if you If you can't bring students on campus because it's not safe, how can you bring football players? But then, when reality hit here, I really did a 180 on that because it's apparent to me that student football players or student athletes as a whole are in their own bubble. I mean, they are isolated from the student population if you choose to do that. You are getting them tested. Now, there's a legitimate argument by the regular student population that says, well, why aren't we getting those tests? Why do they get all the tests? I get that. But if you are trying to bring revenue streams into the university, and that's the bottom line here, isn't it, really? If you are, then that's why they get the special treatment. And they being segregated from the student population in their own bubble, then that's what keeps them safe. And that's the reason why you would do that. And that it is actually safer for them probably to be than being at home, certainly with all the students back, because invariably you're going to have parties and you're going to go to bars and you're not going to be safe.
And college students aren't always going to listen, and that's coming from an 18 to 22-year-old that once upon a time I wasn't listening either.
Right.
So kind of you steal a line from the movie The Program, which I typically watch this time of year, and, the coach in that movie, played by James Caan, he says, when's the last time you've seen 80,000 people get in the same room to watch somebody take a chemistry test? It's valid because that football money, it drives so much, and it really throws into question why are they really there. And the online classes thing, I was just thinking as a parent, we're getting ready to start the whole virtual school thing with our 9 and 6-year-old next week. You have to make concessions. You got to move things around. If my son or daughter was into college age, I don't know if I'd send them right now. I think the online way might be the best way to do it.
It might honestly be. With football itself, say we do get all the way through the season. Obviously, AP and coaches poll are now officially out for the preseason. Who would you say is like a dark horse, somebody 10 and up that could possibly have the best chance of winning?
Well, when you talk about playoff teams, it starts with the same old, the Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Oklahoma, those teams, LSU, and then once you get outside that top 10, North Carolina's interesting with Sam Howell. Their schedule's set up well. They play Clemson tough. Mac's done a fantastic job there. I think Oklahoma State and Texas probably feel like they can challenge Oklahoma a little bit in the Big 12. The SEC has 6 top 10 teams. I don't know if anybody outside that top 10 can really do it. But that's what makes that league so intriguing, that every week they're going to have that big game.
That is going to be incredible. I'm waiting to see. I think the depth of teams will be so critical because you know how hard it is when you're playing 8 conference games in that league. Now you're going to play 10. Wow. That becomes incredibly difficult. And this story, Bill Bender, started to break yesterday, and that is the UCLA starting offensive tackle Jake Burton wanted to transfer and get immediate eligibility, and he was talking about one of the 3 big 3 left. And he decided he was going to transfer to Baylor and wants to play this fall. Now, we know the NCAA, in actually using wisdom, I must say, for the first time maybe ever.
That's the truth.
They did not vote the waiver-free one-time transfer because of this particular situation where there could be some leagues that would play and some leagues wouldn't, and they did not want a situation where you would have schools losing their team because that league wasn't playing. It was actually pretty wise and seeing into the future, and now we have this problem. What will be the resolution for Jake Burton?
Yeah, he's not going to be the first. I don't think it's going to be widespread, but he's one of those guys that he's doing what's best for him. And others, I remember when this decision was made in the Big Ten, and Ryan Day was another one who said, he didn't think the transfer thing would become an epidemic where a lot of guys from his team, but that's Ohio State. They can still develop those guys and everything. I think where the long-term hurt for the Pac-12 programs and the Big Ten programs, it's those that aren't quite ready for that national championship, and guys can leave. And that's going to be something to monitor through recruiting as well over the next couple months.
How confident are you in the Big Ten and Pac-12, Mountain West, MAC's idea of playing in the spring? Do you think it will ultimately happen?
No. I think it's a novel idea, but I don't think it'll happen on that extent, because I get the planning, I do, but every plan has to come with the mindset that you've got to play a full season in 2021 to start to recoup what you lost. And when you start asking student athletes to play around 20 competitive games in a calendar year, you're asking for it again. You are. I mean, because I don't know if a lot of people will come to grips with that, including the NCAA. So I like the idea. I do. I think it's a fun alternative, but you're going to be contending with the same elements with COVID in the winter and the spring that you are right now, unless there's a vaccine. I know the testing, it's all the stories about the new test, and hopefully that works, but we're still dealing with a pandemic here.
It will help, I think, at least give us better guidance if indeed there are cases. But you're right, it does not cure it. Last thing for Bill Bender from the Sporting News, and that was the blanket free year that any college football player is going to get, whether he plays this year or he doesn't play. Is that a realistic thing? For instance, Memphis has a quarterback. It's a good story for you, Bill Bender. I'm giving you one here. Brady White, who could break all of the Memphis passing records this year, who has been brilliant in the couple of years that he's played. You know, he started at Arizona State with Mike Norvell. This is his 6th year. He could literally come back and have a 7th year. He will get his doctorate this year. He could come back next year, right? I mean, is this thing really going to happen? Is this going to work?
That's going to create a lot of roster management headaches, but it's the right thing to do
and
to
financial
give guys
stress.
That opportunity. Yeah, I mean, if Brady White wants to play a 7th year, that is a good story, and it's just part of what we're dealing with. So I don't know if they're going to create another shirt, like you have red shirts and gray shirts. Maybe they come up with a new name for another shirt.
COVID. This will be the COVID shirt.
The C-19 shirt. I don't know. There's so many choices for that, but yeah, and that's going to be the next challenge for those schools that didn't play, and those that did is what do they do with the roster numbers and scholarships and those kind of things. And again, that's another debate that this whole thing created.
As always, my friend, we love chatting with you. We will actually have games to talk about next week, so I look forward to that. Thank you, Bill.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on, guys. Take
Thanks,
care.
Bill.
That is Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He's brought to you in part by Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. I love asking this, because I go, when I'm walking around my neighborhood, I look at roofs. How many of you do that? That guy needs a new roof, or wow, look at how good that roof, that architectural shingle with those 3-dimensional properties, man, that looks fantastic. I love it. Most of you, however, don't look at all until you got damage inside, and then it's too late. Roofing is an essential emergency service, but don't make it an emergency in your home. Don't make it a problem. Let them come out and check. If you have had your roof for a while and you're wondering about durability, how long it's going to last, have Brian Elder come out and take a look. It's free. Just call 867-0303. That simple number that everybody has sort of put in their brain because it's catchy. 867-0303. The one call you need to make, because they only use the best products in the market. They also provide their customers with the best warranty. I mean, it's simple. No questions asked warranty. If anything happens, they take care of it, and that's what sets them apart. And they only use the newest of technologies. They have great equipment. Heck, they are so good, as they like to say, they can measure your roof from outer space. So if you would just like to see how your roof is, or if you've got a problem, there's one call to make. 867-0303. 867-0303. That's Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. Back with a wrap of hour number 1 in just 1 minute.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Are you one of those people who thinks it's okay to drive stoned? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit? It's no big deal, right? Wrong. The truth is, your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway. Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Chris, it's your hour number 1. Don't forget, coming up at the top of the hour, we'll go to Orlando, talk NBA with Yahoo writer Keith Smith, who's there. And we'll get his take on what may happen for sure. I can guarantee you, Drew Barrett, one thing.
What is that?
We will not see scores at Olympia Fields at the BMW Championship Round 2 of the playoffs in the PGA like we saw last week. There's not going to be any 30 unders. The best score so far today, and many of these players have played 15 holes, Billy Horschel, Patrick Reed, Tyler Duncan, and Mackenzie Hughes. I'm not even sure who Tyler Duncan is.
Don't really know.
2 under. That is the best score. Then there's a whole group with Tony Finau, Joaquin Neiman, Sebastian Munoz, Carlos Ortiz, Tim Hogue, Patrick Cantlay, Abraham Ancer, Louis Oosthuizen, who, by the way, got in as the last guy in. He's shot in 1 under. And then there's Alex Noren and a bunch who are at even par. Justin Thomas is at even par today. So is Tiger Woods through 12 holes. Daniel Berger through 13, even par. Bubba Watson through 12, even. Adam Scott, the same thing. Your guy, Matthew Wolff, even par. Rory McIlroy's at even par through 10. Kevin Kisner, even through 9. So there's not going to be any lights out stuff here. Dustin Johnson, by the way, is 1 over par on the day.
Yeah, it's going to be some very low scores. I mean, Jason Day at +5 through 8 right now. Other guys I'm trying to find low on the bottom totem pole. Xander Schauffele +3 through 10. Harris English, who a lot of people had actually picked to win this tournament, +2 through 9. Beefcakes himself +2. Colin Morikawa +2. Going to be a lot of high scores this week. Definitely not going to be any -30s.
The kid who shot 59 last week, Scotty Scheffler, he's +2. So, the cut in this thing, well, let's just take a look. Is there a cut today? There's not a cut.
Not a cut today.
Top 70. There's not a cut at all.
Yes.
Because this is the top 70. That's right. That's an hour in the books. This portion of the show brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken's that weird guy. I mean, he's a genius. He really is. But he sees the little things, all those little tiny details, and yet the big picture all at the same time. It takes a rare guy to do that, and he is one of those guys. And he will build for you your dream home or your renovation. I call it renovation with innovation. That takes your older home, and it makes that home a modern palace. Go to his website, see what I'm talking about, kengarland.com, and then make the call. Just chat with him. If you're looking for a piece of land, he can find it. If you've got a piece of land you're not sure what to do with, he knows what to do with it. I promise. 751-1632. That is his number. Maybe you're looking for a new development. He's involved with one that is done by Boyle. It's called a Leylon. It's a gated community on Messick Road, east of Kirby, all the way to McVeigh, a 4-bedroom home starting at $875. And they've got some of those you might want to check in with Ken all about. That's, again, 751-1632. He's always on the money. He's Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. To Orlando we go with Keith Smith from Yahoo on the NBA. That'll come your way next.
I hate Tom's Tulip Shop. It just smells so flowery. Like we get it, you're a flower shop. You don't need to remind us.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
I needed a fake plant. They don't sell fake plants. Thanks for nothing, Tom.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Then he says, have a great day. I'll decide what kind of day to have.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
I'm here with outstanding team from Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. They're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Gary, tell everyone how they can experience the Lexus of Memphis satisfaction.
Come in and be a part of our family at Lexus of Memphis. Experience the customer service that we provide to each guest like a member of our own family. If you're on the side of the road and you need us, we're there. If you need help with anything with your car, technology, Bluetooth, the app suite, we have a dedicated team to help you with this in your journey with your Lexus.
That's how they do it at Lexus of Memphis.
Ready to take on that painting project? Ask Sherwin-Williams and get 35% off paints and stains with sale prices starting at $25.02, August 27th through September 7th. With 35% off our exceptional paints and stains, you can give some color love to your bathroom, living room, or every room in your home. Shop in store or order online for curbside pickup. Retail sales only, some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Ah, fall is coming. You can practically feel the crispness in the air. And that feeling? Electric. That's the sound of the new Ego Blower from Lowe's, starting at just $199. For the first time ever, Lowe's has Ego Outdoor Power Equipment, all electric, so you can get all those projects finished up for fall. Bring on Labor Day. Visit Lowe's online and enjoy easier curbside pickup through the Lowe's app. While supplies last, U.S. only. Selection and availability vary by market. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
All 75 months at 2.99 APR, G4 LHFO 7857, Outlander LU 029538, Eclipse LZO 15617, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 59875, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through the end of the month. Dealer stock only.
It's time to fully charge your summer with great savings from Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. You'll find 0% APR for 60 months, plus $500 cash back. Drive your ambition in a new 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, $139 a month, or buy for $12,435, 41 MPG Highway. 2020 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport is ready for any adventure at $229 a month, or buy for $18,573. And cross over to summer in a 2020 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, $19,107 or $229 a month, backed by a stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Mirage G4, $139 a month, Outlander Sport, $229 a month, and Eclipse Cross, $229 a month. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in. Hour number 2 on this Thursday. A little bit quieter than the craziness of yesterday, but still ramifications from the NBA player boycott that then transcended to Major League Baseball. Some of the practices. In fact, you could say the very first team on the boycott sort of positioning was the Detroit Lions. They were the first ones that canceled practice. And then, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks made their big statement. The numbers of COVID today holding steady, capacity in hospitals getting better. Positivity wasn't the greatest on 2,000 tests today, but nonetheless, not as bad as it had been, and we seem to be gaining ground in that department. East Carolina postponed a football game. The Tigers game with Arkansas State still very, very much on, and there is a game that is supposed to be played on Saturday to kick off college football. And it, at this moment, is absolutely still on.
Definitely will be the first Central Arkansas game I've ever watched and the first Austin Peay game I've ever watched.
I think I've seen Austin Peay play football.
I've been to both campuses. I played baseball on both campuses back in high school, but I've never seen either team play.
I know I've seen Austin Peay play. Don't ask me the context, but I know I have seen them play football. So yesterday was an earth-shattering day. It was a day of total precedent. I have never seen a major league of any kind in mass cancel games, and that is what we saw. And these were playoffs. It was a big decision down in the bubble, so kind to be with us during this whole experiment has been Keith Smith. He writes for Yahoo. Yesterday was crazy. Today, I imagine, kind of crazy as well, as there were meetings by the Board of Governors in the morning. There's a players' meeting with the owners by Zoom that will take place tonight. Keith, they voted, at least at the moment. They're going to continue. There's not going to be games today. Give us your general sense of what the mood is like in that bubble.
Good. In there, they're really. Hello.
Hello, Keith. Yeah, were you able to hear the intro that we sent your way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You wanted to know the mood in the bubble, right?
Yeah. And your connection is not quite as good as it normally is. I don't know if it's a speakerphone or what that may be.
I'm in the car, so that could be it.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, we hear you. Not as good as we'd like, but we will live with it.
All right. The mood right now in the bubble is hurting, and that's why they didn't play yesterday. That's why they're not playing today. That's why they are demanding more action from their partners in this, who are largely the NBA owners, to do more than what they have done to this point or promised to do, because the players want to see real change made beyond. They're appreciative of the money that the owners are going to give them, but they want to see real actionable change, and they need those high-powered partners to help them make those changes.
What do you think they really want to see? Because that has not been identified yet.
Yeah, I think what you started to see a little bit was what the Milwaukee Bucks did yesterday. While they stayed in the locker room, they were able to get on the phone with the assistant governor, or the lieutenant governor, I guess it is, of Milwaukee, the attorney general, or of Wisconsin, rather, the attorney general, and they were able to, talk to them and say, what are you doing? We need, action taken here. How are you going to make things better? And one of the things that they looked at already is, we need to look at, some of the ways we handle policing in the state of Wisconsin, and that's already now underway. And whether that was fully sparked by the Bucks or not, it doesn't matter. The Bucks had a hand in that, and that's what the players really are asking for now. Is these owners are billionaires or 100 millionaires, and they have connections to people in the highest offices, in the country. Politicians, policymakers, lawmakers, and they want them to enact pressure on those folks to make real change, and that's what they're asking for assistance with, because those are connections that most NBA players do not have directly themselves.
And that's really the only way that change is really going to be possible. I think that's kind of something that the NBA players need to put on the front of their protests, and what they want to do is that everybody needs to call these officials, needs to write your representatives, needs to definitely vote. I know that's been a big part, but until we put pressure on these elected officials to do anything, who's to say that they're going to change? And do you think that's basically the main message they're trying to get out there, not just of what the owners can do, but trickling it down to fans themselves to be more active?
Yeah, you're absolutely right with that. It's everybody, and the NBA players are very conscious, as well as the coaches, of this is an election cycle, and we have a big election in just a couple years. But one of the things that they're trying to make sure people understand is get out and vote now. Of course, go out and do your part now to make real change possible. But then if you can't get those people who don't want to help you out this time, know that they're up in a year, or they're going to be up in 2 years, and go out and vote them out then. That's what they're really looking forward to, getting that messaging out. And that's the support they're looking for, again, from their teams is, help us with this. So you're starting to see more and more teams are partnering to open the arenas as voting locations.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard over and over again in so many of these NBA cities, we're too overtaxed and we can't have, there's not enough voting locations and those kind of things. Well, open up these massive arenas and make those voting locations. And you're starting to see that happen. You're starting to see the players really support protecting voter rights and those sorts of things. And that's going to be the kind of pressure, is exactly what you said, is putting pressure on these elected officials or officials who are up for election.
Keith, you mentioned the raw emotions, the strain that is taking its toll on those that are in the bubble. We listened before the Jacob Blake social issue things came up. We listened to Paul George talk about the depression of the isolation of being in that bubble, and I think that is sort of an unintended consequence of trying to be safe for COVID and still play these games. How much of this do you think has also taken its toll, this isolation, on the way the players are feeling?
You're 100% right with that. I talked to several players over the last week or so, and a lot of these guys had to leave their families behind wherever they were quarantining or sheltering in place, or call it what you will, in late June to return back to their NBA market so that they could start the process there. Then they all left for Florida in early July. They've all been at Disney since early July now, so we're almost 2 months alone just at the Disney time. But all these guys have really been away from home for 2 months. And as much as they love the game and they love their teammates, they miss their families. They miss their way of life. Some of the guys who are single just said, I miss my bed. I miss my house. One player told me, I miss my dog. Those are all real things that these players are going through. And I know it's easy for people to say, oh, poor millionaires, it must be tough. Well, it is. No one wants to be isolated and separated from their loved ones for this amount of time. Now, you add in the fact that this happened on top of it when guys are already starting to feel some pain from being away, and that hurts that much more. And a lot of these players have their loved one on Walt Disney World property going through the quarantine process to join them sometime within the next week or so, because that's where we're headed with this. And that's what one player told me is, I think I might have felt more like I'm ready to get out of here, but I know my family's here, and I'm going to see them in just a few more days. I just got to get to that point. And I think that's something that's kind of sustaining these players right now is my loved ones are here. I'm going to see them in just a little bit, but, we got to get there and get to that point.
Keith, when we do if and when we do resume, are you hearing of any talks of maybe more type of protestional statements that the players want to make, beyond the Black Lives Matters on the court, beyond the things, equality and Black Lives Matter and education reform and all those other things on the back of the jerseys? Is there another idea maybe floating around that players want to do to continue to bring attention during the games?
Yeah, one of the things that has been talked, and I think that's part of why there's no games today, there may be no games tomorrow, and that's highly likely that there won't be games tomorrow, is the players want to work with the league and the television partners to be given a little more leeway when they're doing their media responsibilities to talk about the causes and issues that matter to them. One of the things I think you're going to see with this is, rather than a guy like me saying, hey, what happened to your rebounding in the third quarter, maybe we actually talk about the causes and the issues a little bit more, because the players all understand, and I've had all of them say, look, I know you have a job to do, and we got to talk about basketball, but we got to make time to talk about this too. That was part of this. They all said, coming to the bubble was about a lot of things. One was financial. Everybody wants to get paid. Everybody wants to make their money. One was crowning a champion and winning a title. That was important to a lot of guys too, but equally as important to all of them was, we want to get there and we want to have an impact and change society for the better. And that's what we're starting to really hear with this, is they haven't been able to do that last one the way I think they had hoped for. So they are going to absolutely 100%, I think they're going to amp up the messaging, whether that's in formal type settings where they're given the time, or whether they do it themselves in conversations with the media.
Do you think the Lakers and the Clippers absolutely said we don't want to play anymore?
What I was told by a player who was in the meeting was there was no real vote. That wasn't an actual thing. It was just those teams made it clear we don't want to play. But what he said is, we don't want to play right now. And what he told me was, nobody wants to play right now. We're all hurting, and nobody has their mind or their heart in the right place to play. So I don't know that it was left. I think with the benefit of having a night to sleep on it, a night to talk more about it, get the emotions brought down a little bit that were very heated in the moment, everybody has now come together and said, all right, hey, the right thing to do here is probably continue to play and do this. That said, it would not entirely shock me if you had a handful of players, not necessarily teams, but a handful of players say, you know what, we're still out, we're going to move on, we're going to do something different.
Do you think that could be the Stars? I mean, I would think that if the Lakers as a team voted majority not to play, which is what Woj reported, and the Clippers as well, but let's just go to the Lakers. The most powerful player in the league, let's face it, is LeBron. He is on that team. So would a LeBron, and I'm guessing, I don't think it would have gone majority to not play anymore if LeBron was not on board with that. So that is my premise as I make this statement. Would you foresee LeBron James saying, okay, guys, I get it. You guys want to keep going on. I'm not. I'm out. Could that happen?
I'm not ever going to rule anything out. I don't expect that, though. I think LeBron understands his position as a leader for all players, and I think he is looking at it as, now all reports are he has said, hey, to play is to still have our voice here and to have ourselves heard on the biggest possible platform by everybody. And I think you're going to see him, ride that through. He's going to finish that out, and I think he's going to be an active participant in whatever is going on while this season continues. So I don't think you're going to see LeBron sit out at this point. But if he did, I think you would see some players follow suit. Patrick Beverley said it a long time ago. If LeBron's hooping, we're all hooping. And that is, that holds, tells you how much sway and power he has within the NFL or the NBA ranks.
With the meeting tonight with the owners, obviously, like you said, and all signs are pointing that they are going to play. What would be something so catastrophic in the meetings with the owners to where the NBA players reverse their stance and say we're not even going to try?
I think if the owners, refuse to give any more support with what the players are looking for, I think then you would see the players very clearly say, all right, if you're not going to support us and do anything else, we're out. And I think that is, I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that's something that, would be something that would turn it very much in that direction where the players would decide not to play. I think you're going to see the owners agree to do more and to provide more support and provide more avenues, but that is something I think that would, kill off the rest of the playoffs.
We are talking with Keith Smith from Yahoo, who's been down in Orlando. That's where he's from, and he knows that bubble really well because he at one time worked for the Disney folks. And I want to know about Michael Jordan's role in all of this. First off, we learned today, and I guess we should have figured this, but Michael Jordan is the only black majority owner in the NBA. And in fact, and I've been racking my brain, I think he's the only black majority owner of any major sport in America. So he plays a critical role. Not only is he the greatest player who ever played the game, bigger-than-life guy, and he basically gave a message to the owners. This is the time where, at least for right now, we should listen, which may be what this meeting tonight will be all about. What is his role? What do you think happens this evening?
Yeah, and Michael Jordan's one of the roles he plays as an owner. All the owners sit on different committees, and he is on the labor committee. So he works with the players on labor issues. So that is part of what he does. So part of the reason why the ownership group put him in that role is they know players respect him. Michael Jordan speaks. These guys listen. A lot of these, even though some of them were never old enough to see him play, everybody knows who he is, and everybody still respects everything that MJ has to say. So what you're seeing now here is he's going to come in. He's going to make sure the other owners, the owners with him in the NBA, listen to the players, and that's chief concern number one. And then after that, he's going to make sure that what happens is that the players understand, hey, these are the things that happen if you decide not to play. And these are the things from a financial concerns that are going to go into place. These are the things that are going to happen if you don't play. And that's going to be really important because that's something that some of the players, C.J. McCollum, spoke up about that, was if we don't play, what happens? What becomes of the money we're owed? What do we have to do? How will this work? And that becomes, a really key moment there. And that's something Michael Jordan can assist and help with on both sides as he kind of bridges that gap between the players and the ownership.
You bring up a very interesting point, and let's go back to one of our first conversations. And that was if they didn't go to the bubble at all, that the force majeure, that clause in the players' bargaining agreement with the union and the league was up for grabs. If they boycotted the rest of the way, obviously they wouldn't get their money from this, but would that again force that clause in that contract to break the agreement that they have in place and everything is up for grabs again for next year?
Yes, absolutely. They still have not made the amount of money to this point that has saved them from that, if you could put it that way. That is still very much on the table. So what you're going to ultimately see is the owners, if it ended right now and we didn't play anymore, the seeding games were great. The first round of the playoffs, for the most part, is complete, and that was great. But what you're going to see now moving forward is you didn't get the second round, you didn't get the conference finals, you didn't get the NBA finals. The really lucrative part of the playoffs was done, and what you'll see there is the owners will absolutely 100% enact force majeure. They will opt out of the CBA. It will be torn up, and they will have to renegotiate it, and it will not be as friendly to the players as it is now. So that's something that you have from the players' union side. And then, again, folks like Michael Jordan are trying to make sure, hey, we respect your decision to make whatever it is. We just want you to make it with all the possible information you should have.
So this economic portion of the conversation is incredibly important as the players go forward. And I've got a feeling after that initial discussion about ending the season was taking place, this information trickled back in from agents and key personnel involved.
Yeah, I think it's part of it for sure. And if you go back to when we first started talking about, why would they come back in the middle of a pandemic and these kind of things? Well, part of the reason they're coming back is, was the money. And I probably told you guys, and if this is a repeat, I apologize, but I had a player tell me, this is probably going to be my only year in the NBA. And he's not making a ton of money. And he wanted to make every penny that he could because he knows this is it for me. And he's not making, even $1 million. And that doesn't mean, that he's pulling in, poverty line or anything like that. But he's not retiring. A lot of these guys are not LeBron James. They are not set for life for the remainder, of things with this. They are now looking at, I got to do some things here to take care of my financial well-being. And the players are also wondering, the owners committed $300 million to helping out with social matters and in causes that are important to the players. Is that $300 million? Does that go away if we don't play the rest of the year? What does that look like? So it's all things that have to be on the table and discussed.
There definitely are a lot of questions on the table and very few answers for them at this moment. But question for you, obviously everything going on in the NBA the last couple of days, but some other things have happened since the last time we talked to you last Thursday, and I want to get your opinion on the Pacers firing of Nate McMillan. Do you think it was fair?
Yeah, that one's really hard because they cited in the press release, which now they've expressed regret, his 3-16 playoff record in 4 years. But the challenge is that's missing a whole lot of context within that record. The last 2 years without Domantas Sabonis and without Victor Oladipo, that's tough for anybody to overcome when you're missing 2 all-star players and an all-NBA player in Oladipo the year before. And then the year before that, they took the Cavaliers to 7 games, which the Cavs team that went to the NBA Finals. And the year before that, the Cavs swept them, but it was a total of 16 points in that sweep. So they were extremely competitive in those playoffs or playing under adverse conditions, and they had great regular seasons with Nate McMillan. So that's, I guess, a very long answer to say, no, I don't think it was overly fair, and I don't think it was right.
What about the Brett Brown dismissal?
That one, I think things had kind of run its course. And I feel bad for Brett Brown because I don't know how many coaches have gone through what he went through, where it was set up initially, come here, and we have no intention of trying to win games at all. And Brett Brown went through that. Then, just as the team started to get good, they changed major parts of their roster 3 times in a about 18-month period. And then Brett Brown was told, we'll just make it work, rebuild it on the fly. And that's not really something that works out all that well very, very often. And these weren't just minor, hey, we got you a guard, in place of this guy. It was major changes around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And that's really, really hard. So I feel for Brett Brown. I think he's going to get another job, and I hope it's with a team that's a little more established and ready to win and do things, because I think that becomes really, really important.
Who do you think gets the Philly job?
Yeah, that's a tough one. There's a ton of names being linked to it. I think what's interesting is they're mentioning they want a players coach in there, someone who can really relate to the players. Well, Brett Brown got criticism for being too much of a players coach, and that he kind of kowtowed to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid too much. I think they would really love to hire Ty Lue. He's a guy who has the respect of the players, but he can also come down on them a little hard. I think they'd love to have him, because I think then what you could do is you could really say, hey, we hired a championship level coach, a guy who's won, a highly respected assistant, and we're ready to go. And I think that's what they want to do. Whether that's the direction they go or not, we don't know, because Ty Lue is in demand by about 3 or 4 other franchises that are now looking for coaches as well.
What about Jay Wright down the street in Philly at Villanova?
Yeah, I think that is probably the ultimate dream. And Jay Wright, for what it's worth, has said the only job he would take is the Philly job. I don't know if that was on the record or not on the record, but that is what he has said in the past. That's the only NBA job that interests him, even in the slightest. But I don't know that he is ready to leave what has really become one of the preeminent winning machines in college basketball in Villanova. I don't know that he's quite ready to leave that now, but we'll see. I think that would be absolutely the dream hire, because that's one the fans would buy into instantly in the city.
He is Keith Smith. You read him at Yahoo on the NBA. He's down in Orlando. Thank you so much. Hopefully next week we're really talking about the second round of the playoffs.
That's what I hope, too. I hope we're also talking about real, tangible, actionable change that's been made by the players doing what
Definitely,
they do.
Keith.
That's another hope I have.
Yep.
Thank you very much. You all stay safe, you and yours.
You
Thanks,
too.
Keith.
Thank you. Keith Smith from Yahoo down in Orlando. Our title sponsor for this hour of the program is Homer. Homer, Skelton, Hyundai, and Olive Branch. Genesis of Olive Branch as well, where you get on both those cars a limited lifetime powertrain warranty, every new vehicle, and a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on every new Hyundai or every new Genesis. And a reminder, the 2021s are arriving daily, including in a couple of weeks, we will see a new Genesis SUV. So I'm talking about these packages, and I'm talking about the warranties, and you know how durable these cars are. How about safety? I love the technology in these cars. They drive themselves. They literally will not let you move into a lane. If you're on cruise control, they won't let you move into another car. Hyundai tied for the most number of top safety pick vehicles in all of 2020. This came from J.D. Power. And then there's the service. This is the group, I think, that sets the bar for the way car business should be done. All you got to do is get on Lamar. Go find out for yourself. Go see Chris True and all the gang. Right there, first exit in Mississippi is Craft Road. Highway 78 and Craft Road, that's where you'll find a great deal at Homer, Skelton Hyundai, and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take a quick timeout. When we come back, we switch gears to the Shield, the National Football League, and Russell Copeland. He is next.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
I hate Tom's Tulip Shop. It just smells so flowery. Like we're good at your flower shop. You don't need to remind us.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
I needed a fake plant. They don't sell fake plants. Thanks for nothing, Tom.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
Then he says, have a great day. I'll decide what kind of day to have.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Hey everybody, John Stacy of the Blue and Gray Show, brought to you by Wolf Chase Honda. Guess what? Football's back and so are we. The Blue and Gray Show now entering our 6th year. Drew Bear and I have been doing this, and we're bringing you some of the best Tigers through history. We've had them all on our show, and we're going to continue to do that. And you never know who will show up on the Blue and Gray Show. That's the Blue and Gray Show, brought to you by Wolf Chase Honda, right here on Sports 56 and 87.7.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in, halfway through our Thursday edition. A lot of NBA talk and boycotts and everything. It's sort of carried over. Some news in the NFL just breaking right now. The Philadelphia Eagles are going along with exactly what the Titans are doing. They are saying no fans for home games, at least to open up the 2020 NFL season. So, it's going to be weird.
It is going to be weird. Do you know if Andy's having fans? Have they announced if they're having fans?
I do not know. That would be the September 26th, so they probably aren't making a call quite yet.
Probably in those notes Brent gave us on Tuesday, but I don't have them on me.
I'm pretty sure it was 20%.
So we can have 20% at Vandy's games, but we can't at Titans games?
Well,
Wouldn't that be the same health committee?
As I think about it, I don't know if he had the percentages of well, I've got it right here. Since you asked, State 25%, Ole Miss is 25%, and you know what? They did not put Vanderbilt in here. And
I guess they haven't announced it yet.
No, they're a private school too, so they probably didn't have to exactly put that quite out yet. We'll have to wait and see on that. In the meantime, crazy. What would it be like? I know Russell Copeland, who played for the Tigers and several teams in the National Football League, including in a Super Bowl. It would have to be very weird, Russell Copeland, not to play with fans. How do you think you would react to that? Would that be a distraction for you?
Well, I think you have to look at it, and you really have to concentrate, Dave. For me, I was a type of player that played with a lot of energy, along with a lot of other players. So the fans, you play for the fans, and you get excited for the fans. You want to score touchdowns and see the fans get excited, and you want to be to get them their money's worth. So now you have to make sure that you concentrate, because the game is going to be totally different without fans, and it's similar to when you're practicing. And you practice to get prepared for the game. And Dave, coming to the game, there's no better feeling than when you see the stands being filled up. You smell the popcorn. You see the little kids coming to the game. You see the kids with jerseys. You see them leaning over and say, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" And the excitement that you see with the fans. And now you don't have that. But from a football perspective, you have to be able to look at the home field advantage aspect of the game. For quarterbacks, I think it's an even plateau. You don't have the crowd noise. You don't have to be able to stop and go down to your lineman to be able to communicate as far as the cadence, as far as the calls. So you do not have that. So I think it's an even playing field from that aspect, but it's going to be totally different. It's going to be a weird feeling, but they are professionals and they'll find a way to go out and play and perform.
You're right. It just dawned on me. There will be no silent signals. You'll be able to hear absolutely everything. That's the first time that I've actually thought about that. Also, we've seen the NBA boycotted games in the playoffs yesterday. They're doing the same thing tonight. The NHL, by the way, which did not honor the boycott. They did moments of silence before games started last night. They are boycotting, I guess, to sort of even things out. This evening, baseball is going on. There were several games that were boycotted yesterday.
There have been 4 games today that have been postponed in Major League Baseball. Red Sox and Blue Jays. Man, I had the list pulled up a second ago. I know it was one of them, but there are 4. I'll get the exact games here in a second.
In the meantime, Russell, this may have really began with the Detroit Lions. They were the first ones that said we're not practicing today because of social justice. Did that ever kind of enter your mind thought, your state of mind, or any of your teams over the years you played? Because there have been Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics actually boycotted a game somewhere.
It was in Kentucky in 1961 due to the fact that they wouldn't serve him or the other black athletes.
So they wouldn't play the game, and then that thing got straightened out. So rightfully so. I don't think there's ever been an NFL game boycotted for any kind of reasoning that way. Did you ever have any kind of close call, or and what is your thoughts of all this?
Well, no, I didn't live in the civil rights area in the 60s. So for me, I've never experienced that as an individual or as a player. But you're speaking of me playing in the National Football. No, we did not face any circumstances that the players are facing today. But, this is a situation, Dave, and not to get too political, but I'm proud of the players for taking a stance against an effort to bring attention to the plight that the African-American community faces, whether it's racial or social injustice and it's police brutality. I think after we look at everything as for sports, we love sports. We need sports. That's what we've been hearing in the pandemic. I can't wait for sports to come. Sports brings us together. But at the same time, these athletes understand their stance. They understand their power. They understand that they have a voice. And they need this voice to be able to make a stance to bring attention. So the attention has been brought, Dave. Now it needs to be a plan. And when you say a plan, it has to be a plan where you sit down with decision makers. I mean, you have to be able to sit down with the NFL owners, the NBA owners, if you're playing in that particular sport, the general managers, the top executives, the coaches, and the sponsors. And then you have to specifically say, these are our intentions. This is what we're fighting for. This is what's going on in my community. This is what I want to make a stand for. This is the plan of action that we collectively need to do. Where do you stand as an owner? Where do you stand as an organization? And all of them need to come together as one and be one voice. And then where do you take it from there? Now you have to be able to get the attention of the political makers, the lawmakers. And that starts with the mayor. That starts with the judicial system. That starts with the Senate. That starts with the Congress. It moves up even to the Oval Office. And only then will you see some type of change. But it's been going on too long. And it's been really tough for me because I have a son. And my son is 26 years old. And to talk to my son and have a conversation with my son about things that I shouldn't have to be because of the color of my skin, the color of my son's skin, and say, if you get pulled over, son, what to do and what not to do. Put your hands here, son. Roll your windows down, son. And this is something that we see. I'm getting teary-eyed because we're seeing too much of it. And it's very unfortunate that it seems like the African-American community, whether it's men, whether it's kids, or whether it's women, are getting shot down in the street such as animals. So first of all, we all have to agree that it's wrong to murder someone and kill someone, whether you have a badge on or whether you're just someone that's in the street just loading a gun and just shooting people, first and foremost.
It's absolutely wrong, and these things happening in our country shouldn't be happening today. It shouldn't have been happening to George Floyd. It shouldn't have been happening all the way back to Rodney King in the 1990s and so on and so forth. These things should not be happening in a country that claims to be the greatest country on earth. You're exactly right, Russell. And the NFL is the most powerful sports league in the country and probably the world. Do you think the NFL, if they came together and said, we won't play until arrests are made, until people are taking responsibility for what happened to Jacob Blake, until arrests are made with Breonna Taylor, do you think that they are the only league that really has enough leverage in this country to make that big of a statement?
I think all of the leagues have the leverage, but I'm not going to specifically say, hey, we're not going to play until arrests are made. But I just mentioned to you that it has to be a plan taken. It's going to take more for me for a practice to be missed or a game to be missed, because you have to have more to say, well, I'm missing practice or a game, or the NFL or the NBA is being shut down because there's violence, there's social injustice. We have to come out with an action plan to continue things going on, with a plan that's going to go on every day, a plan that's going to go on throughout the season, a plan that's going to go on through the off season, because this is a problem. If it wasn't a problem,